heard it online and you think there's no rival? You want it for your collection, but have you heard it on vinyl? Hello and welcome once again to But Have You Heard It on Vinyl with myself, Simon, and over there my sidekick, Danny.
Ooh, hi.
How is everybody? We're currently here bracing for a storm, I think, or something. God knows. It's been raining pretty much for the whole of January and now into February, and I'm looking into arc making classes. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are doing... if you're going in 2x2 and you want two podcasters, make sure I am your sidekick. I don't want to be booted for a different podcaster. Thank you.
No, it's been very, very dreary. It's a Sunday. We're just sat here wondering if I'm going to survive the night. It's awful. It's just, honestly, just been horrendous. So anyway.
It looks like the start of a disaster film when everybody's kind of looking to the sky. What's going on? What's going on? It's that sort of weird coloured sky where we're all a bit like, something big, and it probably won't. It'll just be a bit more shitty rain and we'll just go to bed.
I think you just can't do anything. I think that's the problem, especially with the kids and stuff. Like, they want to go out and do stuff, and we're trying to plan things, and it's just awful. So I just kind of want to just stay inside. Luckily, I've got some things to do. Got some new records and stuff, so it's not too bad. Anyway, as per usual, this week we will be doing what we've been playing and going through all that, and we'll also be doing our feature, which this week we'll be looking at the 4-album run of Depeche Mode, from music for the masses all the way through to ultra, which I'm really looking forward to that one. I think it'll be a fun one. They're one of my favourite albums by one of my favourite bands, so I think it'll be a good feature.
Good chunk of their catalogue to look up.
Yeah, it's a genius part. They're just... much as I love Ultra, I was playing the ones this time. I was like, I Violator, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then go into the next one and go, this one's just as good. So I was very excited. Anyway, we will get back to that. And then this week's vinyl alphabet is X. And lastly, we'll have a bit of a waffle about stuff coming out. There's so much stuff coming out at the moment. We've actually had to kind of condense what we're doing this week. Even for the end part, because there's so many new releases we want to talk about, but we're going to hold on to some till next time. And the same with what we've bought this week. We've both bought quite a bit, or been listening to quite a bit, that we're going to hold a few things back to the next time.
We've had a good week. We've had a really good week, haven't we?
I know, and I think you've got plenty to talk about.
Well, I finally decided to make the pilgrimage to Vinyl Shakedown Records in Leicestershire. I keep seeing the YouTube videos, I keep seeing them on Instagram, and the guy Grant is just such a great host, and they always have a lot of great stuff. They have a big turnover of stock. So I was like, right, end of January, I'm going. So I dragged my old colleague Jones along with me, and honestly, absolutely cracking visit. It's not often I go to a place and come away with a few, let alone one thing. I'll come away with a few things, and chuffed. Some stuff that just jumped out, and I was like, I've got to get that. And then just a couple, grail and this sort of thing. So
is it a big shop?
I'm not going to cover everything I bought there. It's fairly big. It's decent. So you go in, and you got all sort of the you've got your walls all round, all the stuff on the walls all round. I love that. I love seeing the stuff on the walls, the rare stuff. You got the selection of new things. Stuff in sections, rock and pop, the usual. Some dance. There's always dance 12 inches underneath the main racks, I find, in these shops. I think they buy collections and then just wang all the dance collections underneath. Decent rock and metal section. There was a jazz section I didn't really go through. I had a sort of a quick look. Yeah, just a lot of 7 inches as well. And normally I'd go through the 7 inches, but I just didn't get a chance. I was in there a while. And I'd seen one thing on the wall the previous night on his last video, and I thought, I hope that's still there tomorrow, and it was, and grabbed it straight away.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I won't go into everything, because there's one band I bought 3 albums by. I'll talk about that next time, because I haven't listened to them yet, so it's fairly pointless. First thing I picked up was, drop it on the floor. These are all used copies as well. I didn't buy anything new. This is the Gary Newman album, The Pleasure Principle.
Okay, cool.
Which was original pressing, a decent copy as well. Rather neat, 15 quid. I've played this. It sounds, it's great. It's sort of at least very good plus, which is nice for an older copy. And you know, for a band like Gary Newman, artists like Gary Newman, you think people would have played this a lot, but whoever has had it, I think they've looked after it.
I don't know everything by him. I don't know why. I'm a really big fan of my synth pop and 80s stuff, and it's the one artist I know, but I just don't have anything by.
I don't know why, but just the other way, I was just lying in bed one Saturday morning, a bit bored, and you know, you just wake up stupid early and you can't go back to sleep. I thought I'll just listen to something, and that came up as a recommended listen. Oh fuck it, I'll give it a go. A superb album, really, really good. I only know the hits Cars and Our Friends Electric and stuff, and Cars is on this. There's another song called Metal, which I know Nine Inch Nails do. I didn't recognise it, but that's a brilliant song. And it's one of those albums as well, you know, sometimes you hear something, you go, oh, Jesus Christ, that's that. It's a sample. Somebody sampled it later on, and I didn't realise. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the track is now, but it was sampled for Where's Your Head At by Basement Jaxx.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember the song, but it's on here. As soon as it came on, I was like, oh, fucking hell, I didn't know that was that. I did the same a few years ago with MIA, with Paper Planes. I had no idea she'd sampled The Clash, but there you go. So that was the first one. Brilliant album. Love the sleeve on that as well. Just weird.
He's just never stopped, has he, Gary Newman? He's still going now. I know he's not quite what he used to be, but good on him for just carrying on.
He's always had a cult following, and he's got more and more gothic and industrial as he's got on, I think. He's like an icon, isn't he? And I know some albums are more revered than others, but like you say, he's never stopped. It's just that it's the initial ones that the general public... I'll consider myself the general public. I'm not an expert on Gary Newman in any way, shape or form, but yeah, brilliant album. I would buy more if I came across them. The next thing I picked up, and this is on my... It's not a grail, but I've got a list of things... I've got a list of things that I want to find in the wild. It's too easy sometimes to just go on eBay or whatnot and just pick a copy up. You know, you want to go out and find it and be surprised. And this is one of them, and this is the one I saw on the shelf on the video the night before, and it's Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. And weirdly, it was only 30 quid. Very good plus copy. I've played it. It's exactly as it says. A little bit crackly in places, but it's hard rock. You don't really notice it so much. But weirdly, I'd never ever see this album anywhere. I've never seen it at a fair. I've never seen it in another shop. And considering it's only 30 quid, and I only sort of go for 30 to 50 quid. So it's not, you know, sometimes scarcity and value just don't tie up, you know. And it's just one of those. But yeah, I was ecstatic to pick that up because I've been itching to give this another go for years. Since we got back into our rock thing from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I want to give Queensryche another go. They just came to mind.
It's just not something I've ever really invested in. I think because I think me and my brother were getting into heavier stuff, probably the early 90s and stuff. Sepultura, Pantera.
Well, that's it. We all were, weren't we? We all were.
Yeah, so I kind of remember reading Raw and all these other magazines and seeing them, and it just didn't really appeal, the sort of higher vocals and other things like that. Like, I know they're more progressive metal. I probably should give them a go, because it's one of those things that I said, oh, I won't like that then, and now my tastes have quite changed. I'm a bit more open to it. But I think at that point, I was very much following my brother's lead and getting into death metal, black metal, all these kind of things. So Queensryche was never going to be
that's
an appeal to me.
Yeah, we've said it at the time. We all sort of went alternative, and suddenly everything beforehand was naff. But I remember my mate's little brother having this, and I was fascinated by it. You know, I love the artwork. I love the idea of I don't know, just because I'm getting old. I love the idea of a story and a prog element. But it's very much, 'cause I'm such a big Maiden fan, and that's pretty much what Maiden do. You know, they are very proggy by nature. They tell a story. They have long tracks. You know, all this sort of stuff. So I deliberately avoided listening to this because I wanted to wait till I got a copy, but I knew I'd like it, and you know, I really do. I think it's a brilliant album. Like you say, there's a lot of spoken word stuff. There's an overarching story. It's typically of prog. It's not particularly clear. You can't follow it to the T. I'm not interested in following it to the T, to be honest. But the songs are great. But I keep seeing the follow up to this called Empire.
Yeah,
and that was about 1990, I think. This is 88. I keep seeing Empire and thinking I will hold off on that until I've got Operation Mindcrime. So now I've got that, I will definitely be looking out for Empire. And again, I want to try and find it in the wild if possible. Because, there's plenty of copies out there, but it just gives you a thrill finding it in a shop when you're not looking,
Yeah, they've just very much come to the forefront in the last so many years, just more because of the controversy between all the infighting and the singer getting sacked and what. I don't think their career has really taken off since he left.
I don't think so.
But they both seem to they just sort of coast now, both of them, I think. He does his thing, they do theirs.
Yeah, there was that classic period which a lot of bands go through where you've got two versions of the same band going out.
Yeah.
And then I think it became Jeff Tate's Queensryche or something, and then they all went to court, and then it ended up with... It's a bit like Pink Floyd, where Roger Waters got the Wall, and he doesn't touch anything before it, and Dave Gilmour only really touches the hits, and nothing else off the Wall. The Wall as a concept and a whole spectacle. It's the same thing because Jeff Tate took the Operation Mindcrime thing. Queensryche still play songs off it, but Jeff Tate took it and made a production of it, and a play, I guess. I don't know, but it's just a whole stage show, very similar to The Wall, I guess. And he's made an Operation Mindcrime 2, and I think there's a third on the way.
I never get the whole thing when there's like 3 different versions of the same band. Like, there's part of me just think, I don't know, give up? I don't know. Isn't there like 4 different versions or 3 versions of Venom going at the moment?
Something.
It's just ridiculous. It suddenly came out of one period, and then everyone's gone, oh, can we do that? All right, well, there's going to be 3 different versions of the LA Guns. You can have 2 versions of the Choir Boys, and honestly, give it up.
Just Asian rockers.
Yeah,
get their back up. And
the third drummer of LA Guns version of LA Guns is like,
or you get bands that have got no original members, like took bands like Foreigner and that. Yes, just come and go. And so the other one I got from Vinyl Shakedown, which I want to talk about, is this was in the rarities rack, and this did jump out at me, and it gave me a little skip my heart a bit. And it's the debut album by Porno for Pyros, Perry Farrell's post Jane's Addiction band. This is a grail. This has been on my list a while, and again, I've seen it a couple of times at fairs, but it's always sort of I think the cheapest I've ever seen is sort of like 90 quid, and it wasn't the greatest condition. I've seen it 100 plus. But it's like anything, if you want it in mint condition, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. I don't want it in mint, but this is very good plus, and it's a very good plus. It's the top end, and this was 75 quid, so I was chuffed with that. The sleeve and everything's in great condition, and it's a great sleeve as well if you've seen it. It's got the the original inner and all sorts. But the music, I love this album. It's very much in the vein of the sort of shorter, snappier Jane songs, like Standing in the Shower Thinking or Being Caught Stealing, that kind of thing. They're all kind of shorter songs. I think the single off this was Pets, which really isn't a very fair representation of the album, 'cause it's very kind of mellow, and the rest of the album is very frantic in places. It's very, very funky. The bass on it is just...
So is it a bit of a continuation of where they were going or not?
What, James?
James, I mean.
I think he's just took the more commercial elements and done something with it. I mean, he's got the drummer with him. Stephen Perkins has come along. Peter DeStefano is the guitarist. I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he's got pedigree. And Martin, I want to say Lenoble. It's probably Lenoble or something on bass. And again, I don't know where he came from, but he's a great bassist. It's not a bad track on it. Really, really good, fun, enjoyable album. Doesn't it States Welcome, which considering...
Who produced it?
I want to say Perry and Matt Hyde. I feel like I know that name.
I do remember him. I remember him doing some mixing and some other stuff. I want to say he even did stuff with Soulfly and things. But... could be wrong.
Yeah, it sounds great. So whoever's doing it, they've done a fantastic job on it. Really, really pleased to get that. But that's another. I'm doing really well for Grails these last couple of weeks.
No, cool. Well, it sounds like it's a shop definitely worth visiting. And I think you sent me the way with some links and stuff, so I had a little look. And I think you said that they had there was a sale, wasn't it? They just had one a couple of weeks ago. Well, no, it was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, I went the wrong time. Well, or the right time, whatever. But basically, he's not precious about... They have a big turnaround. He knows what he buys. He knows what he buys. He knows the value of stuff. And buying any collection, there's a handful that are your money makers, and there's a handful which are free, basically. So when you've got buy a collection like that, you can afford to dish. You put the high-end stuff at a higher value. The other stuff you can dish out for cheap. Otherwise, it's just lingering around for years. And there are too many shops that do that. You visit them twice a year, and every time you go, they've still got the same shit. It's just hanging around and getting more and more flicked through and more damaged. And you just think, oh god. But yeah, he did this sale. The videos online just showed how popular it was. He did a video afterwards, just stacked up all the empty plastic boxes from the sale.
Yeah, about 10 or 15, isn't it?
Floor to ceiling.
A lot.
It's even stuff like the Beatles. He'll sell for like £2 or £5 or whatever, just to get rid, because it's like, it's not the best copy, but it's the Beatles. Somebody's going to want it. It's the Beatles, and it's gone. And because he's going to get more, So it's great like that, because I'm confident next time I go, and I want to go again fairly soon. I'm confident there's going to be a whole sort of new stock and change on the wall. So as you're right, they may as well. There's a few shops I've been to, and every time you go there, as you said, you flick and go, oh, that was here last time, yeah, and they can price it at £15 if they want to, but if no one's going to buy it, then it's a pointless price. You may as well sometimes just do, right, I'm going to do a cull, get it out, get some new stuff in, and people won't come back if you keep going there and going, oh, they've still got this, it's not worth holding on to. I do it myself on Discogs when I'm getting rid of stuff. I don't sell a lot, but I'll flick through periodically and sell some things. And it's very much, if I've got something and the median price is sort of like £15, I'll chuck it on for a tenner, because it's going to go straight away. Because everybody's looking at 15. Mine's a tenner. I've lost a fiver on it. I've not really lost a fiver because I've probably paid pence for it. Luckily, it's a hobby that's still got value. So there's always some money in it somewhere, and I generally sell everything I put on. So
yeah.
You just have to have that mindset, don't you? You can't hold on to the very nth degree if you want to make room and get some better stuff, So that's me. What have you been doing?
Well, I've had a few new things, and I've basically I wouldn't say it's a grail, but 2023, I think I might have mentioned to you about it. I went to try and buy Paradise Lost. Basically, they re-recorded their Icon album, called it Icon 30, because they basically haven't had part of their shitty deal basically on this album, and they just never got any publishing from it. They've never got any royalties. They don't own the master recordings, the artwork, nothing. So they decided to kind of reclaim it. They re-recorded it with the current lineup, which is pretty much the same lineup that recorded it originally, but with a different drummer, because they go through drummers as fast as Spinal Tap. And basically they re-recorded it, and then they put it out completely themselves on their own little label, pressed themselves. I think there was only like 3 different variants, maybe 500 per variant, so there wasn't that many copies out there. I stupidly put the variant, which I got luckily, in my car, and then slept on it, and then the next day it was gone and out of stock.
Oh, I hate doing that.
I've done it a couple of times, so I need to just learn to just swallow it and buy it and then get on with my life.
It's that last minute nerve, isn't it? I did it the other week with the Mother Love Bone, if you remember. It's that last minute thing where you're just like, do I need it? As soon as it's disappeared, yes, of course I fucking needed it.
Well, that was kind of the case, and it was a big regret. I was just like, I do like that album, because I don't know if you can even get the original on vinyl anymore. I haven't seen it being reissued, so it was just one of those ones. I was like, okay, I'll get it, and I'm really glad I did. I was so happy. I didn't pay too much over the odds, probably more than I would have wanted to, but for the sake of me not getting it originally, I was like, no, I'm going to do it. So I went and bought it. It was brand new, still sealed, which was good. And I'm really, really happy with it. It's a really good pressing. I've got this lovely splatter red and black vinyl, and it's also got green in it as well. Very, 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 very sort of peacocky. So yeah, no, it's really cool. And it sounds amazing. What are you laughing about? Peacocky. But no, it sounds absolutely brilliant, and the re-recording, I really like it. I think they've boosted it up and made it a little bit thicker, but it's a very true re-recording of it. Like, obviously, Nick's vocals now are a little bit more thicker and a bit more. He's just sort of growing into his vocals. I think Icon was the first album he did without the death growls and stuff. They sort of moved away from their death metal and kind of gone a bit more commercial in some ways, a bit more Hetfield bark. But I just really remember this album from when I was younger. I think this was the first one my brother ever bought, Icon. He might tell me I'm wrong, but I remember getting this one, and I remember hearing True Belief and quite a lot of stuff like that on Noisy Mothers and Raw Power and all those sort of shows.
Yeah.
So it was probably my first introduction to Paradise Lost. I remember True Belief is the one that I remember the most, and it kind of stuck with me. But I just never really owned it on CD and other things. So I just thought I'd get it. But I really, really like it. I think it sounds great. It's kind of got the modern production, like the thickness that they have now, but with the songs, and they've just done a really good job. Like I think it's pretty much like a note for note re-recording, but it sounds great. So I was really happy. I like the artwork. It's nice to get it. So I don't know, it really cheered me up. So I'm sort of thinking about buying some more Paradise Lost at one point.
Is it the same producer?
No. It'll be. I think they do quite a lot of their stuff themselves now. Greg, the guitarist, is pretty much the producer on everything that they do these days. He's got his own studio, so I think they pretty much do the drums somewhere, and then everything else is done in his own studio. I don't know if he gets someone to mix it or not, but he's pretty much self-contained now. He produced the last album, which sounds fantastic. So why wouldn't he? What's the point of paying someone else?
Cool. True.
Yeah. So no, I was really pleased to finally get it. It was one of those ones. It's the one that got away, the fish that got away. So I was pleased with that one. The second thing that I bought that I mentioned on, I don't know if it's the last one or recently, about coming out was Mariachi El Bronx No. 4. They like to carry on their tradition of not naming their albums. So this is the fourth one. Got it on, it's in the gatefold. It's one of the limited edition ones, so it's on an orange translucent vinyl. So I picked this up from my local record store? Yeah, local record store. No, Juno. I think I got it from Juno. So the thing is with it, the first two ones they ever did, I absolutely loved. I thought that the songs were really good, and from start to finish, like there's tracks, identifiable tracks that I kind of go, oh great. Like I thought there was enough variation in the songs. It's like, as you said, it's mariachi music, so it's got a certain style to it. But each sort of song sort of stood out for me, so I used to be able to sing along, and I know them. This one, like the first song, Forgive and Forget, and I think Songbird, which are the two of the singles, I do sort of remember, but I do find that this album blends into itself. Like after a while, it's like 50 minutes long. So after a while, I just feel like I'm listening to the same thing over again.
Well, there's two things there. Number one, 50 minutes is that awkward area for an album where it's just a bit overlong. And number two, as much as and I'm a fan of Mariachi El Bronx, as I am the parent band, there's only so much you could do with mariachi music. And maybe it's a case that they've done it, the first two albums, great. Have they played it out now? Is it a bit too much? Do they need to do any more? Because, it's the same again.
So I don't really remember the third album so much. I really remember the first one. I remember the second one. I saw them at a festival because I think Bronx had played later in the day, but earlier on they did like a little set. And it was great. Like, I really loved like 48 Roses and all these sort of songs, which is off the second one. But I don't know what it is about this one. It just... I get to halfway through and I kind of start getting bored, and yeah, I don't know. It's very different. I think the Bronx stuff is one lyrical style, and then this one, he's kind of gone more for the traditional mariachi and sort of other things where it's story based. It's a very much telling a story, and I just don't think the stories that they're telling are that interesting. Like there's one about like the local drunk and other things, and I don't know. It's just something, it's just not connecting. I'm finding it a little bit boring.
Yeah, it's maybe run its course then. I mean, it's not going to be not enjoyable. It's mariachi music, it's great, but the first one was a real shock. Oh my god, they've become a mariachi band. But that was, they've done it again, and then maybe it's like, they've done it again, and they're still doing it, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's nice. I do enjoy their Bronx side more. I find it a lot more interesting than catchier songs. But I just find with this one, each song kind of starts and you're kind of going, oh, okay, it's that kind of beat in that sort of style with that thing going on. I can't really differentiate so much the songs. I think the first two were a bit more original. I think in this one, I don't know. I think I'll give it some time and see where it goes. But at the moment, I start playing it and then go, yeah, I'm going to put on this album instead, or switch back to something else. Like I will go into it next time, but I bought like the Helicopters compilation, so that one, I keep going, I could be listening to this.
Yeah.
So I keep moving away from it. And then basically the last thing I got, which we only talked about on the last podcast, was No Meets No, Sex Mad reissue on Alternative Tentacles.
That's a great title.
Yeah, I love it. Like, it was one of these ones that I've had. I can't remember if I've got the CD of this somewhere, but I haven't listened to it in a long time. And getting this one and putting it back on again, it just took me back, and I've loved every second of reliving this album. It's a really, really good reissue. I've got the pink variant. I think it's black or there's pink, which is the Indies exclusive. They've recreated like the cover and the center bit, so you got your logo for Alternative Tentacles on one side, which is the bat side. The other one is this one. It sounds good. It's nice and heavy. They've recreated the liner notes and all that, and it says on the front, first time on vinyl in over 25 years, so it's past a reissue. And I really, really enjoyed it. They're such a strange band. Like, I think you kind of, if you start this album off, it's Sex Mad and then into Dad. Dad's a really like hammering song, one of their like more harrowing ones about kid's relationship with his father, I think, where a bit abusive, but it's just fast, straight in your face punk, and you kind of think, okay, that's what they're like. And then the next one, it's like strange beats, odd jazz timings. They just sort of throw everything in. They're the two brothers, I think, because obviously they've grown up learning music together, they've got such a musical relationship. They just lock in. They're so tight. I think that's the thing, is they got put in with punk, but they're slightly arty, they're slightly jazzy, they've got funky elements, they don't mind doing spoken word. They just didn't really fit in with anything, do you know what I mean? Like, they can show how melodic they can be and how catchy, but then they will just go, all right, well, we've done 2 verses of that, we're going to do this for a little bit, just to not be conventional. I don't think they mean to. I think they're just too talented that they can't be bogged down and get stuck in one little spot.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, they don't really do it in a formulaic way. I've only heard Wrong, which you've talked about before. But yeah, that's fairly... It's frantic in places. You get bursts of saxophone and stuff, but they're very rhythmic, I think, which a lot of punk bands are. They're just like 4 to the floor, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're away. They've got a bit more. It's like what am I trying to say? It's like intelligent punk. Yeah,
and I think that's what I've enjoyed, because I really do. I love my punk music, and I like ones which are just straight in, like your Descendants. It's just all about the melody and all this sort of stuff. But I like with these guys, sometimes they are a little bit harder work. You do have to listen and take your time, and then you actually get something from it. Which, as much as I love the instant like gratification of some punk bands, this one, I've said I put it on, and like they don't mind going, right, we're just going to get this one little riff and we're going to repeat it for 3 minutes just because we can, with some other little things going on and some other bits on top, just to almost irritate you before we come in with a riff and an idea that just blows you away, before going back to the repetitiveness again, just for the fuck of it. And it could infuriate people, but for me, I'm just going, that's just genius. Like, you don't, there's no rules to what they're doing, and I respect them a lot. Like, I've really, after this, I've been kind of listening to a few more of their other albums and really, really appreciating them again. They have these little moments where I think they do ones where they don't mind doing a few 8-minute songs, and then the next album along, they'll go, all right, we're just going to do really short, to the point, punky ones just for the hell of it. And then the album after that, they'll do a cover of Bitches Brew by Miles Davis, just to say, all right, well, no, we can do this again. I just have a lot of time for them. I think they're something that you really need to... I'm looking forward to these next reissues, just to kind of properly delve into them.
What are they doing? Like a few weeks apart or a few months apart? Or
I don't know. Considering that Wrong came out, a year ago, and then this one's come out now, I'm guessing they've been waiting for all the... legal wranglings to get sorted out, because they've only just originally, apart from Wrong, there was a best of by them, People's Choice I think it's called.
So I don't think they were even streaming, were they?
They were the only 2 things you could get on streaming, Wrong and the People's Choice, which was a best of. So for a long time I kind of only really knew the 1 or 2 tracks from each album that were on the best of, because that was all I could really listen to. So suddenly, like just after Christmas, when they announced this one, everything's on streaming. Every single album, every single EP, you can properly delve into it now. I'm probably imagine maybe every 6 months they might be doing a new one. I can't say, but I have noticed that Alternative Tentacles are going back through their catalogue and reissuing everything. So hopefully they're not too far behind, do you know what I mean? So really, really, really made my day listening to this and cheered me up. Took me back there. So
it's good to see the good guys getting some due.
Yeah.
After all this time, because at the time there was so much stuff. There was so much good stuff going on that we just never. There was always something that it's like carrying a handful of stuff. There's always something dropping out, and I do remember No Means No at the time and hearing them and think, yeah, great, I'll come back to you, and never did for years and years and years because there was so much other stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's died down. Unfortunately, there isn't that much great new stuff these days, so we have got time to take a breath and go backwards and look at it. And when you haven't got to look hard now because the labels are going, oh, you're interested in that, there you go, and they're giving it to you, it makes it easier, and you know, they're putting it in your hand rather than you having to go and dig and find it, and it's great that you know, these bands are getting older and getting some recognition, and they're still allowed and able to go out and do a few shows here and there and sustain themselves a bit. I can't imagine anybody makes much money on it, but it's justification, isn't it, for being originators and part of the scene at the time.
Yeah, I'm just glad that it's not going to get lost, because for ages I said there was nothing on streaming, you couldn't get the vinyl, you couldn't really buy the CDs, and I think for them, like I think they said themselves, that they had a brief moment where they were kind of big-ish and be able to do plenty of tours and everyone wanted to hear them, because I think they got caught up with the whole Nirvana and the alternative thing. But then when people actually heard them, they went, oh, okay, no, this is nothing like that. So I
put that back down, thank you very much.
Yeah, possibly. I don't. If you went there thinking it's going to be something like that, then you'd be very disappointed. But no, it's great that they're finally doing them. I said they had their book out last year as well, which thoroughly enjoyed. So I do recommend that one as well. They're just an odd band. I don't think they've ever done anything to get fame. They just do what the hell they want. Good on them.
Good. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the end of my listens for this week. It's time for this.
It's the vinyl alphabet.
And this week's vinyl alphabet is brought to you by the letter X. Now, what have we got? Because I think you were unsure if I had anything, and I've got two things.
Yeah, because I've got one band in X, and I was thinking Simon's not going to have anything. I was like, you got any X? Thinking we might have to skip it. So I've got two. I was like, all right. Show off.
In your face.
In your face. Fuck you, Rob.
Both of them punk. One English, one American. And I've gone for the English one.
You go first, then.
Oh, okay. No worries. Right, what I have chosen, if you haven't already guessed it, is X-Ray Specs, Germ-Free Adolescence, which is their 1978 album, which, to be honest, I only got into in lockdown. I remember them from compilations and little things about punk when there's like docos when I was younger. And I kind of found Polystyrene, the lead singer, really, really annoying and just didn't really want to get into them. But then someone kept telling me, no, they're great. And I think I heard NoFX do a live version of Germ-Free Adolescence once, which made me go, oh, I recognise that song. I really like that one. And then went back and checked it out. Yeah, so I've pulled this one back out again. I do really enjoy it. I think it's one of those ones, I think if you hear a couple of their songs and then kind of went, oh, okay, I think I knew what they were like, but the rest of them are it's a nice solid album, I think. I think the only thing with this one is, I think the most famous one that you might know, what was that, Bondage?
Oh, Bondage Up Yours, yeah.
Yeah, that's not on this album. It's only got it was just a single. But then I think when I was reading about it, it basically got a little bit blasted, this album, when it first came out, because there was still 5 other singles on this album. So I think people were complaining that there wasn't much new material on the album. But I think it's good. There's not really a bad song on it. I really, really enjoy it. Reading a little bit about it, the main woman, Polystyrene, supposedly is one of the few people who freaks out John Lydon. I was just reading a bit ago.
I'd like to see a freaked out John Lydon.
Supposedly, when
speechless.
Whenever he used to meet her, he was just this strange woman who used to talk about her hallucinations, and it kind of freaked him out a bit. Which I thought was that says a lot, really, if he's someone who kind of freaks out John Lydon. So, but he always said that what's the quote here? They came in with a sound and an attitude and a whole energy that was like nothing else around. It was superb. But yeah, she used to freak him out, apparently. So. Cool. But no, I think by the sounds of it, from what I've read, they started the band because they saw the Sex Pistols like quite a lot of bands. But no, it's a bit different. They had a bit of, there's saxophone in it, a little bit reggae, a little bit of punk. It was a real mix of the time, but it's meant to be seen now as one of the classic albums of the time. I do really like it. It's one that I sort of forget about and then put on and go, oh no, it's great. You have to kind of get used to her, warm to her voice. She's got quite a unique...
Yeah, I will say that, yeah. But a lot of punk singers did. And people still find screechy, but when you get on board with them, it goes. I mean, there's people that are still a massive aversion to John Lydon, but to us, it's normal. It's just, It's just the way he sings. It doesn't affect us in the slightest, but anybody else, like, what the fuck? Yeah, it is what it is. Punk was just a case of, it wasn't just about learn 3 chords and write a song. It's also, if you can't sing, just do it anyway.
Yeah, she just had quite a full-on voice. It's quite in your face and loud. But yeah, because I think they did this, and then she sort of joined the Hare Krishnas and disappeared for a bit. And supposedly, I didn't realise they did a second album in the early 90s.
Okay.
Which had Crispin Mills from Cooler Shaker on guitar.
Crispin Mills from Cooler Shaker, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I've never heard it, so I don't know quite what it's like. But
let's just assume and leave it there.
But yeah, then since then, I haven't really heard much about it. I think she had some mental health issues, and I think she died a couple of years ago, didn't she? But
she did.
Either way, for an early album, like I think like half of the band were female as well, or some of the band was female. It was pushing boundaries, and it was a bit, which is all what punk was about, really. So I really enjoyed it. I was glad I finally got it. My one was just a reissue from a couple of years ago, 2016, and it's just a clear vinyl version. So yeah, I was happy to get hold of this one. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend X-Ray Specs.
I think they missed a trick, given the sleeve, because it's all test tubes, all in test tube. I think they missed a trick by doing like a die cut sleeve. That would have been cool. So you pull it out and it's on the inner sleeve.
Yeah, no, I do agree.
I'll get in touch with them.
You let them know that they need to redo their whole concept. But as I said, suppose it's got 5 of their singles on it, so if you're going to get anything by them, this is pretty much the definitive album by them. Especially as they did one afterwards, which I've never heard of. So. No, so that was it. So next time I'll do an American punk under X, but that was my one for this week. What wonderful X's have you got?
I have one band under X, and it's XTC. Now, I'm just going to give a brief shout out to George Pryor on YouTube, because George, well, not only has he given us a shout out on our first YouTube video, so thank you very much for that, George. He's a big XTC. He's like the biggest XTC fan, and he did a video on them not long ago. I can't remember the ranking he did. I remember B-Sides album was quite high. But the album I've picked is called Nonsuch from 1992. This is my favourite. I haven't got them all. I've got like 5, I think. This is my favourite. I think this is absolutely perfect English pop done well. I think they just got better and better. I just can't remember where George placed this album, so I need to find the video again.
I remember you talked about them a couple of months ago when it was your birthday, wasn't it? Your missus bought you an album.
She did. She bought me Apple Venus Volume 1, which is the first album that came out after this. And it was a long time after this. I think it was like nearly 10 years, because they had that old legal battle with the record label. So they either refused to record stuff, or the label wouldn't let them put anything out. I forget now. But I think they did that and Apple Venus Volume 2, and then that's it. They've never said they've split, I don't think, but they've been inactive now for like nearly 25 years, so you've got to assume that's it. But yeah, this is a double, and it was reissued. This is a reissue from, I think it's about 3 years ago.
Okay.
I can't read it. 2020, and it's a reissue on their own label, Ape.
Ape?
And it's like Ape House, I think it is, or just Ape.
Okay.
But it's 200 gram vinyl, so it's 200 gram vinyl, so it's very weighty. They sound fantastic, each one, obviously. Because I was after an original pressing for a long time. It was like 100 quid plus. But in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't, because I feel, I might be wrong, but I think the original pressing is 1 disc. And you've got a lot of songs. I think there's about 17 or 18 songs. And I know for a fact I've got a Manics album, I've got Know Your Enemy on, and that's a one disc, and it sounds terrible. So yeah, I'm glad they issued it on the double, and it's a gatefold. It looks lovely. I don't know, but by then they were they'd started off quite popular, and then popularity waned a bit. I remember seeing a couple of videos for this. Ballad of Peter Pumpkin, it's awesome opening track. The Disappointed, which is one of the other singles, is an amazing song. I've seen videos for those, I think. But yeah, I think they were kind of a spent force. I think they were one of these, but they were critics' favourite, but not many people bought it, and they've got their own sort of fan base, and that's it. But it's just sort of really... They famously stopped touring. They did the Beatles, basically, and stopped touring very early on, and just became a studio band. And Andy Partridge, the main guy, really took to the studio and learning all sorts of new stuff, and big Beatles fan and all that sort of stuff. So he really got into the orchestra side of that and different effects and all this sort of thing. So what you've got here is a really sort of, I wouldn't say it's perfect pop. It's kind of like scruffy perfect pop. Yeah, it's not perfect pop with an edge. It's really lush. You've got a lot of orchestra. Everything just sounds. It's just a beautiful sounding record. It's really, really warm. The songs are really sort of joyful. There's nothing really dour on here. There's a song called Bungalow, which is Colin Moulding's song, I believe. Andy Partridge writes the vast majority. Colin Moulding writes a few. Bungalow, I believe, it's kind of like a chamber pop. That's a superb song. And then the last song, Books Are Burning, is probably my favourite song on here. It's awesome. But yeah, they try some backwards recording stuff. They try different effects and things all over this, and it's just I think it's a perfect album. There's not a bad thing on it. So any excuse to dig this out is always welcome. And
so what's the big hit off that one?
The big hit, I think, was the Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead, which is the opening track.
I really don't know their stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the early stuff is really kind of herky-jerky sort of, Making Plans for Nigel, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm not as big a fan of that as I am of the later things. The other album I love by these is called An English Settlement, and it's a very close second to this, I think. But like I say, right. I've still got a lot to learn, I've still got a lot to buy, but I take these very, very slowly because I don't rush them. The catalogue's there, I can pick it up. And as you say, the missus bought me Apple Venus Volume 1 last year. I've not played it.
Oh,
it's
really?
There, it's ready. No, it's just sat there.
Oh, okay.
So I will. It's because from what I gather, that's very. I think it's percussion free as well. It's fairly orchestral. So okay. I'm kind of. I've got to get there. When I've spent months listening to fucking Carcass and things like that, and Testament, it's not naturally going to be the next listen. So it will be at some point. It will be.
So they're not exactly traditional with what they're like. You say pop, but then they're not. I'm trying to think. They prefer to just run their own course. They're not actually pandering to anybody by the sounds of it. To have a percussion-free song or album or whatever.
No. Well, from what I know, the drummer's gone. I don't know if they've got beats on there or got some kind of loops or something. I don't know. But from what I gather, it is pretty much percussion free. As I say, until this year, I don't know. But no, when I say they're pop, I'm not talking pop chart pop. I'm talking like Beatles pop. Pop as it was popular, a band. So. But
they're not around anymore, are they?
No, they're done. I mean, they're in the 70s now, I guess. I know one of them, it might be the former drummer, goes out as XTCEX, as in XXTC, and does the rounds there. He seems to be doing it without any problem, so I don't think there's any issue from Andy or Colin's point of view. If the music's getting out there and I haven't got to lift a finger, then fair enough. They might be perfectly fine with it, but he's still doing it, so I can only assume they are.
Maybe they kind of go, well, he's playing a community college in the middle of Norwich. I think we're fine. He can have the 20 quid.
I mean, to be fair, if they're going to be all right with that, they've got to be all right with him doing stadiums and selling a lot of, selling the albums in the meantime. Because
fair enough.
I don't think they ever particularly made much money. I think it's all in the publishing kind of thing. But I know Primus covered Making Plans for Noise at one point. I know I've heard a cover of Ballads of Peter Pumpkinhead back in the day. I can't remember who did that.
Oh, sweet.
And there's the odd cover in history that I know people have done. And they've had a few hit singles, so I think they've done all right. I don't think they've done brilliantly, but, enough to sort of stop touring and just working in studio. So, yeah, they are a superb band. They are a superb band.
Sweet. Oh, I'm something to go and check out. Put it on my list, and maybe I might listen to them before you listen to your album.
It's going to be your next Schenker.
Yeah.
Where you've took Schenker and gone, I'll have a listen to that, and you've just completely ran with it. You'll have the entire XTC collection in a fortnight.
I've completed my UFO ones that you got, the Schenker ones.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I haven't. I've not been at it for 40 years.
I think I've only the Schenker ones I want to get. I think I've literally got, what was it, one more of the MSG albums, and I've got the live UFO left. What have you done to me?
You picked up the ball and ran with it.
I know, it's because it's good.
Wait till you get to the Macaulay Schenker group in the late 80s. with the hair and the FM rock.
Maybe not so much. I'll stick to my little certain periods and stay with it. But there you go. That has been our listens for this week. And it's now time for the feature. We got a feature, musical feature. Here comes our feature coming up now. Hello and welcome back to the feature, which this week we're looking at a perfect 4-album run by a band and going for it, which I think Danny has renamed Foreplay.
Foreplay? I'd forgotten about
that. And we are looking at Depeche Mode, who are one of my favourite bands, and Violator.
Same here.
I think it's probably one of my favourite albums ever. So we are looking at the period from Music for the Masses all the way through to Ultra, which I think is just an amazing run of albums. Can't really fault them. So let's just delve into it. So obviously Depeche Mode by this point had already released 5 albums and had like a slow trajectory upwards. Music for the Masses, from what I can tell, was the point that they basically stepped into the big league. Finalising, I think, that tour, they went and played the Rosewood Bowl, didn't they? Music for the Masses, and basically they suddenly became a stadium-worthy band. I was reading into it, by the looks of it, their record label at the time didn't believe that they would be able to sell out such a big venue, and they proved them all wrong by selling it out easily, and it accumulated with the 101 tour video, which basically showed how massive they were. But let's go back to the origins of Music for the Masses. So this was the album they did after Black Celebration. Black Celebration, I thought, was an okay album, but it just, I don't know, there was a bit too much Martin Gore singing on it, and there was some highlights, but there was also just a couple of filler tracks, I think, and it was good, but it wasn't brilliant. But this one, I find Music for the Masses is one where they sound confident. I think the whole album is a very confident one. I don't know what your thoughts were.
They were a band that were allowed to grow from day one. Because bands really don't get the chance to do that these days, and Music for the Masses was sort of like a culmination of everything they'd learnt so far, and they'd perfected it with this. But yeah, I mean, the hit singles on here are just, they were always a great singles band, but the hit singles on this one are just phenomenally good. And as it shows in the live recordings 101, that they were really a band at full power at that point, and we never thought they'd get to go beyond that, because it felt like they'd achieved, they'd reached their peak and that was it. But but as it turns out, it ended up being the start of it.
Well, yeah, I think Alan Wilder, who was the last one into the group, finally they relinquished and just went, okay, you know what you're doing in the studio, and gave him full control. I think he was pretty much the producer, along with, I think in this instance, David Balscombe was the producer with him, and you can tell that he's sort of taken over. Like musically, it just seemed, it was a confident from the production point of view. Musically, I think even Dave Garnham's vocals, he always had a little bit of a tweeness to him on the earlier albums. This one is the sort of David sort of, I remember, he just sounds so confident on it. And I think Martin Gore's songwriting sort of went into another league as well. Starting off with Never Let Me Down, I think everyone sort of sees them with guitars in their hand, but I think this was still a sample from what I remember. But it's just such a solid album from start to finish. You got that one straight into The Thing You Said, things you said, which is I actually really rate this song as a Martin Gore one. There's not Martin's one of these ones that I think he had a period where his voice I really, really liked. These days I find him almost a little bit too
overbearing.
A little bit. He's kind of almost like he would sound better in a musical doing like Phantom the Opera or something. He's
very dramatic.
But back in these days, he had a fragileness to his voice, which I think really worked with it. And also the look of their stuff. By this point, they actually got Anton Corbin? I don't know how you say his name.
Anton Corbin.
He'd now taken over the full look and artwork of the band, which was pretty much the last element they were missing. Some of their earlier albums, a bit hit and miss with how they looked, and they had their look. They were still going for their sort of bondage thing. At this point, he kind of went, right, you want to look like this?
Get rid of that. No.
So it was more of a fully formed album anyway, and it just took off at this point. So Music for the Masses kind of showed what was going to come next. It was still poppy, had a slight darkness. They still had some of the elements with the keyboards and stuff. It was a bit cheesy in the background, but it was definitely for the time something new and something exciting. You said they got so many singles on it. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Maturity started creeping in.
Yeah, very much. I think they started taking themselves a bit more seriously with it. I think before they were quite happy being drunk guys who did music and managed to we're pop stars. But I think at this point they suddenly went, right, let's see what we can do and where we can go with it.
What's the next step?
Yeah, as you said, so you got on this one, Never Let Me Down Again, Strange Love was a huge one, Sacred's an absolutely awesome song, Behind the Wheel
is amazing, absolutely amazing song.
Yeah, and there's other little things like Little 15 I really like on it as well. It's just like a real simple song, but as I said, all I can think about with this one is just confidence, which then bleeds into the next album. But it obviously did something, because from here they managed to then sell out all across America and finally break it, really. And I think that was it. I don't think they've really gone back since then. They headlined stadiums around America on this tour. I don't think they've ever really gone back to smaller venues, have they?
I don't think so. They all seem to do stadiums or headlining festivals or whatever. Yeah. Not. Yeah, obviously, in recent times they have become a sort of heritage band that are going to... It's still making great albums, but, while they were pioneers, they got to a level... physically and publicly where they're playing these bigger venues, but they hadn't peaked yet. We thought they'd peaked with this, but they hadn't peaked yet. They were still getting better.
Well, yeah, and I think this point as well, was the start of Dave, basically, his insecurities. He started to, from what I was reading, he'd got quite into his drugs at this point. He hadn't gone completely as dark as he does go, but I don't know if he'd left his wife by this point, or he'd said something about all the way through the tour he was cheating on her, basically. So his little demons were slowly creeping in. And then basically, I think this was the last of the sort of slightly lighter albums that they had. Like, there was some darker stuff on this, but you could still see a little bit of poppier Depeche Mode.
It's kind of like the end of the Innocence.
Yeah, I think so. Because straight from this album, which I can't remember where this got to, I think this must have been quite high up in the charts, was Violator, which is the album that basically followed this. So they finished this and basically decided to mix things up. They didn't want to use the producers that they'd been using before. I think Daniel Miller, who had a lot to do with them because he was Mute Records. They wanted someone different, and they actually, Violator, which is the next album, they really wanted to push themselves to the next place. So
Guitars
came in. They wanted more of a production team around them as well, and they brought in Flood, who basically had made his name for doing U2 and bands like that, because I think he'd come off Joshua Tree and all these people, and he'd helped Nine Inch Nails with Pretty Hate Machine in 1989. So he'd already had that sort of synth side of things, darker side of things, and also taking bands to the next level, basically. So they obviously had their eye on the prize, I think, when it came to Violator, and it shows. Martin Gore's writing was just phenomenal on this next album. It's definitely in my top 10, easily. From what I heard about this one is they basically asked him to do very, very basic demos, because I think from previously his demos were quite full, so they used to just basically recreate what Martin had for the previous albums. But this one, they were like minimal music, your vocal ideas and lyrics, and then they actually fleshed it out fully in the studio, which again, Alan Wilder really took control of this one. And I think you have to give so much credit to him and the rest of the people who are doing it with him, because Martin might be bringing in these ideas, but what they came out with at the end was just phenomenal, that album. For me, from a production point of view and stuff, there's not an element in any of the songs that doesn't need to be there. Like, so much thought into like the drum patterns and the production, and it's just so complete, I think. I don't know about yours. It starts and finishes perfectly for me.
I think up to and including Music for the Masses, they had very identifiable songs. I think with Violator, now they've got a very identifiable sound.
Okay, yeah.
And from that point on, they were just in their own little world. It had gothy element. You know, people talk about the later albums being a lot gothy, but it starts here. Just dark, emotional, a little bit gothy. You've still got your dance elements, but it's a very mature sort of new decade dance sound. It's not, they were kind of twee early on, and then they were losing it, and from this point on, it's gone. The tweeness has gone. They're very much looking at the darker side of life kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just the way they presented it and presented themselves on this album. Even with the image and the artworks, just the artwork suddenly suits the music.
Yeah, so it's the completely black one with the red rose on the front.
Is it a rose? Yeah, I guess it's a rose.
Yeah, there's thorns on it. So. But yeah, so this one, I just find, like some of the Music for the Masses. If you listen to some of the songs on it, there's a bit of a different sound going on. And I think on this one, they just went, right, this is what we're going for. And each song bleeds into the next one. There's almost like little links and stuff. Definitely with this one, the sequencing is just perfect on it.
Because I don't think the sequence is great on Music for the Masses, to be fair. The great songs, I think it could go in a better order. But this, yeah, from the get-go, it just strikes a mood. Yeah,
World in My Eyes, I love that song. It just starts so wow. Just do. It just sort of brings you in, and then like the drums, they're not going for these really over the top big sounding drums. It's a lot more programmed, a lot more electronic, just in general through the whole thing.
But not nice skip to it.
No, exactly. And then even going into the Martin Gore songs on this, I think are just stunning as well. I don't think he does anything as good until he gets to maybe Ultra and stuff like that. But Sweet as Perfection, I love it. It's such a dark sort of song, and it goes straight into Personal Jesus, which I think just made them fucking everywhere. They were just huge at that point.
Mega stars for that. Did that come out first before the album? I'm not sure. I know it was a massive 12-inch, wasn't it? And I know it really took off in America.
I'm not entirely sure what the first single was. It'd be the obvious one if you're going to do one. Because that one where he's got the deck chair, isn't he? And he's walking around with the crowd. It's just such a striking video. And that song has slowly got more life as years gone on. Since what's his name, Johnny Cash has covered it. A few other people have covered it. It just keeps taking on its own place. And I think at this point as well was the start of Dave just realising he is a rock star now.
And that was the problem.
And which then takes him even more, as we get on to the next album soon, you realise that he really takes it to the extreme. But Personal Demon. But then I think you were mentioning this the other day. There's the thing about this whole album is that even the lesser songs, you just suddenly realise how amazing they are. Like Halo, I love Halo. That's just such a striking song. Waiting for the Night, which I think Ghost did a cover of recently.
Brilliant.
And then Enjoy the Silence, which is just an anthem for everybody. The moment that kicks in, everyone wants to sing. They've made the choruses bigger, I find, on this one as well. The songwriting on it is just phenomenal. Policy of Truth is one of my favourite songs.
Policy of Truth. I said to you the other day, every time I put this album, I always forget about that song. 'Cause you're enjoying the album so much, and then that drops, you're like, Jesus, man. I love that song, and I always forget it's there.
It's my ringtone on my phone.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, it is just genius. And then you got the last couple, like Blue Dress. Said we get quite harsh on Martin Gore. I think just because of I just prefer Dave Garnon's the singer, so that's it. But this one here is so fragile of a song. I just love it. And then obviously you finish with Clean, which they've got a bit of an homage to Pink Floyd on it, isn't it? Because it's the bass bit sounds a lot like one of these days. Is that right?
Yeah, one of these days.
Yeah, so from start to finish, it just blows me away every time. And then it just took them into the stratosphere, because I think the Violator tour was just absolutely ginormous and unstoppable at that point. Like they'd broken that barrier and they just became one of the biggest bands around. I'm not sure what positions these ones came to. So it was number 2 it went to in the UK, and they finally broke the top 10 in America. So shows that they took into the big league by this point.
Right at the start of the decade as well.
Well, yeah, because 1990, apart from U2, I'm trying to think who else, the big people. Metallica hadn't done that jump yet until a year later with the Black Album. Guns N' Roses probably were on the cusp, but not quite. Nirvana hadn't really jumped out, so they'd filled a gap at that point.
Yeah, there was a bit of a clearing, because U2 done the Joshua Tree, which was huge. Rattle and Hum, not so much, but they were still in that gap between that and what was to come with Achtung Baby. So there was a gap there. Obviously, pre-Nirvana, your Bon Jovis and whatnot are kind of there. They've had them peak and they're kind of in the background, and they didn't come back for a couple of years. So it was ripe for the taking.
Yeah, and Queen, obviously with Freddie not being well at that point, was also not. They were the big stadium band around that time. So yeah, no, very good point. They filled this gap, and then basically, with all like hands and feet, jumped straight into it. Take it over the world in their next one, where, as we said, I think at this point Dave Garnon had realised he was a rock star, and then decided to really fully commit to it. I think he said himself, he goes, if you're going to do it, you may as well do it right. So he went straight in with drugs, women, having fights,
tattoos, hair, beard. I mean, to his credit, he did look cool as fuck.
Well, I think they all said it. I think they all looked a bit burnt out at the end of Violator, and then they disappeared, and then they tried to come back together, and they wanted to do something completely new. They got Flood back in again. I think Flood said himself that the Violator album, everybody was just there and on it and just ready to work and get it all done. He goes, when it came to songs of Faith and Devotion, there was a very different vibe in the place. I don't know if Martin had a bit of writer's block or what. He didn't quite have the songs like he had it before, and they all said the same thing. They wanted to just throw the book away and start again and do something original and new, which they did. Their end product, I think, is brilliant. It's very close to being for me up there with Violator. It's just, I listened to it the other day and then was just like, this is just amazing from start to finish. But I think they all said they noticed something was going on with Dave, and they weren't quite sure what at this point. Yeah,
and he had his own little room, and he was just basically just living in that and just coming out and doing a vocal occasion. Absolutely ruined, because I think by all accounts he was a big user.
Yeah, I think Alan Wilder said that he had lost a lot of weight, because he used to be quite a bit pudgier back in the day. He'd lost a lot of weight, and as you said, his hair was down to his shoulders. He was hanging out with Perry Farrell and all the people from, like, he got not very much into the...
Oh, he's proper into the alternative scene, wasn't he? Proper.
He was living out in LA. I think he had his girlfriend at the time, who was also a junkie. Basically, had just decided he wanted to live it. But if we go back to the actual album itself, like, they basically... It was a less electronic album, wasn't it, really? It was more based around guitars, live instruments.
It's an alternative album. It's a big sort of gothy alternative album.
It's a stunning album. Like, it's got some of their biggest songs, and like rightly so. Like I Feel You, Walking in Shoes, just amazing. And I think, despite the fact that Dave was on another planet a little bit with this one and struggling trying to get him to do any work, he has some of his best vocal takes, or performances on this album.
Condemnation, especially. Oh man!
So people, so that's them almost taking on their own version of gospel, wouldn't it? And it is just absolutely phenomenal. from start to finish, this album, because then you got things like Mercy in You, In Your Room. It's just one sort of massive song after another. And I think Alan himself was another one that said before he kind of took it over. I think he played drums on this album. I think and on the tour he was the drummer as well, wasn't he? Because the tour for this one was it's probably one of my favourite live tour videos to watch.
Visually, it's spectacular. And Dave in like full on, he was always a bit of an awkward frontman before, just a bit of a, dancer and stuff, but he's full on rock god moves and his outfit and that. He's just so spellbinding. Yeah.
The energy he puts into it as well. I think he can have a bucket there and he's just basically rinsing out his t-shirt every 5 minutes. He was a very sweaty man.
He was a very sweaty man.
But I think they need to do it, but then I think just in general, I think because of the alternative scene and the Nirvanas and all this sort of stuff, they were very smart not to try and just do Violator 2, pushing the alt rock, Pixies elements, all these kind of things. Not that they did that sort of stuff, but trying to get in with that crowd was a very, very smart move, and it paid off massively, because I think this album was number one both sides of the pond.
The thing is, with the alternative scene that he was immersed in, a lot of these kids, these bands that he's hanging out with, were the kids that grew up in America with Depeche Mode, with your Black Celebrations and, your Music for the Masses. So it's kind of come full circle, and then that's influenced Dave. They've gone in for a more darker thing because that's what's happening now. They're kind of all feeding off each other, and it pushed Depeche Mode onto the next level. And to be honest, Violator was kind of like the inevitable after Music for the Masses. They got to a point where it was just like, right, that's it, you've reached absolute perfection there. And then Songs of Faith and Devotion is the next level, it's their next phase, and they've never kind of broken away from this formula. For what they do now is very much heavily indebted to this album with a bit more of their earlier elements. All the elements are there, but they lean way more now songwriting wise, I think, on this album than they do Violator.
Yeah, I think there was one album, the 2000s, is it Doubter Machine? I think they wanted to try and do an electronic one with. It worked, but it didn't work, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit dour.
It's got some good songs in it, but there's just a few elements missing. But I think this one was just, the more I listen to it, like it's one of those ones. I think Violator I knew inside out, but this one I keep finding new things every time I play it. And I found Violator as well was, I want to say, quite a claustrophobic album, because it's very dark and it pulls you in. I find this one has just so much space in it, and it's wonderful that they just sort of, they kept branching out and finding new things to sort of bring in with it. Sadly, I think this album, because of the stresses of trying to finish it and the fact that no one was really talking and getting on with each other, Alan pretty much at this point had called time, and he did the tour. Yeah,
especially after the tour. He was sick to death of it.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think he ever quite got the respect from the guys. It's almost like a bit of a Jason Newsted thing, the last one in. He just never quite got what he needed. I think he probably did deserve a little bit of songwriting credits on stuff, but I guess it was the unwritten rule. That's what almost pulled them apart later on down the track, with Dave wanting to be involved in the writing, and it was always Martin's gig, wasn't it? So there was obviously tension. I think that was Playing the Angel. I think he said he wouldn't do the album unless he was allowed to write some music on it and get involved.
Yeah, because he'd done some solo stuff by that point.
Yeah, so this one basically, at the end of the Devotional tour, I think everyone was pretty much spent with each other, and then Dave just went more and more down this rabbit hole of, I think he got arrested. Yeah, destruction, because he had his overdose. He got arrested a few times from what I remember. Alan had left, so the main person who was actually steering the ship within the music wise, as in trying to get actually a song out at the end of it, was no longer there. So they had to pretty much build the band up from scratch. And from what I've heard, when it came to Ultra, which is the album that in some ways should never have happened.
Oh, absolutely. It's the album that shouldn't have happened.
I think no one knew if they had a band. They never knew what was going on. Dave was almost impossible to get hold of. When he was involved in the writing or whatever, he wasn't really there. I think that they spent about a month trying to do something, and I think they managed to get one song recorded, but he had to do it like line by line, and then he'd disappear and do a lot of drugs and then not come back. So at this point, I don't think the band really knew what was going on. They ended up hiring Tim Simeon from I think that's how you say it, from Bomb the Bass, who were they were a band, quite a well-known band at the time. I think they got quite big with their Clear album. I can't remember that one. But yeah, so they got him in to be a producer. So they got a production team in, someone a bit different, to try and mix things up. The sound of the album, I think, is brilliant. I think they said themselves they wanted everything through valves, was what the mantra for the album was. So they wanted a really, really warm album. And it does, I think Ultra does sound like the natural next step from Songs of Faith to the Motion. I don't know about yourself.
It absolutely does. It's such a strange album in as much as they've not made another album like this. And it's so rich, takes its time. On any given day, this is my favourite sort of Depeche Mode album. Out of these three, it's always going to be one of these three, but more often than not, I lean towards Ultra. Yeah. Mainly because the Martin Gore tracks here are one of my favourite Martin Gore tracks. Home especially is just a phenomenal song by any standard. Not like, oh, it's one of his sort of one of Martin's better songs. It's one of Depeche Mode's better songs. It's sensational. The other single, It's No Good, is possibly my favourite Depeche Mode song.
That is hands down my favourite song by them.
It doesn't rush. You've got Uselink and Useless, so it's like a build up to the track Useless. What this album kind of reminds me of, I can't remember which came first, but Primal Scream's Vanishing Point came out around the same time, and that's another album that doesn't rush. There's some great songs on it, but they're not scared to put some instrumental things on, some darker things on, longer tracks. And it really worked for Primal Scream, and it really works for Depeche Mode here. And it's also the start of what's inevitable with most bands that have had run-ins with drugs. A lot of druggy lyrics. Dave used that for years and years and years to come. There'd be a lot of drug sort of references. But yeah, that's when that crept in here, and it adds to the darkness of the band themselves. If you take this, which is, 97, it's only 10 years after Music for the Masses... The lightness and the darkness between the start of this feature of Music for the Masses is not, it felt dark for Depeche Mode at the time, but you didn't realise how dark they would get. That Music for the Masses is so light compared.
Yeah, in comparison.
And it's only 4 albums, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 albums later, and so much has happened in the interim. It's astonishing, really. And the fact that there was still a functioning band. Yes, they've lost... Christ, what's his name? Alan. See, I lost him already. They've lost Alan. They're a 3-piece. I think this album was a lot more painstakingly put together. They're relying very much on sounds. They started crafting songs rather than just writing a melody and some lyrics and a chorus. They're really crafting songs now. And this is what they continue to do afterwards. And it's very dark, but there's hope there, I think. They were going down a dark, dark tunnel before this, and now there's kind of like hope.
Well, I think when they started it, I think for a bit Martin went, shall I just do a solo album? Which they were like, in the end he decided to against it. I think because David kind of shown a bit of interest to carrying on. I think originally it was going to be an EP, but then slowly... They completed 4 songs and a few more, and it just slowly... I think halfway through the process, I think Dave finally went to rehab after his second overdose or something. So then he was then kind of getting better, and then by the end of it, a bit more functional. And they saw, as you said, the light at the end of the tunnel. It started off dark and then slowly kind of went through. They didn't tour this. I think they did a couple of promotional...
Did like a couple of showcases, didn't they?
Yeah, but they never actually did a full tour on this one.
And then there was best ofs and things that came out.
Yeah, there was indeed. And then obviously after that, started going towards Exciter, which is a very different beast to this one. It kind of, as you said, like you have that sort of peaks and troughs and stuff. So they started with Music for the Masses. It was going up and up and up. And even though this one had a big crash before coming into it, the fact that this album exists and is just so amazing, because I think you can feel the emotions through all of them. Like,
they worked hard on this one.
Oh yeah, I don't think it was not an easy album. It wasn't a fun one. I think even the producer Tim, I think afterwards said he didn't want to touch music for a couple of years after doing this. He was spent in every possible way, emotionally, and like he just spent so much time on this album. The fact it came out, I think he was just, because I don't think Bomb the Bass did anything for a good almost 10 years after this.
Jesus.
They've ruined him. But even the B-sides. Every Time I Lose Myself. Is that
Only
one?
When I Lose Myself. I think it was a single. Was it not a single to promote the Greatest Hits album? Yeah, that's a brilliant track.
But yes, and they said the videos around the time, Dave was looking healthy again when he did It's No Good, that sort of cheesy one where they're going into the club.
Yeah.
He's sort of dancing. I think for that little 4-album run, it just had everything going on. You had a little bit of the old, the album that basically broke them, the one afterwards where they just tried so many new things, and then this one which kind of finished off the 4, and then just I ushered in basically the new era for Depeche Mode, because since then, as you said, they became just the elder statesmen now. They don't do bad albums. Sadly, they've lost more members, and they've done their latest one, Memento Mori, with just the 2 of them now. But I think they needed to do these 4 to sort of move on to pastures new, really, and try new things, and they are Depeche Mode.
These 4 is like taking a bite out of a cake with every layer. You're getting all the good stuff out of one bite. There's no other era of their catalogue where you could take 4 albums and get 4 different tastes.
No, that's exactly it. I think their earlier ones have very much got a similar sound, and their later ones, as you said, they kind of these ones are so varied.
Yeah, the early ones are building up to something, music for the masses, and then their later ones are very much based heavily on what they'd already learned, which works well. It's where they are now, which is what most bands do. They get a sound, and they get to a point where that's our sound. That's what people are going to be disappointed if we move away from that. And you're getting older, and you're just doing your thing. You're doing what you do. You're making Depeche Mode music. What I will say about these 4 albums, I've got them all on these double CD and DVD collector's editions. I don't know if you've seen these. So
I've got all of them.
And you've seen them, and so they've got all the DVDs. They're all sort of like feature length videos of them working on the songs in the studio, talking about them, bit of live footage, and with Violator
5.1 mixes as well.
Yeah, that's it. And with Violator onwards, they are lengthy documentaries, and they are so good. They're really worth buying. To be fair, they are quite expensive to get these days, but they are worth buying.
I got them when they came out.
I got these. Well, yeah, I think I got these when they came out. I missed a couple, so I thought I'd just get them. So I'm still looking for a couple of them, but I think you can find the documentaries on YouTube. But they're well worth a watch because they are so good. Especially like the sort of heroin years where they're going to real depth about it. And Dave's open and talks about it as well. So the Songs of Faith and Devotion and Ultra documentaries are just superb. The earlier ones from the earlier albums, they're sort of like 30 minutes-ish, where they're just went in the studio and made some sounds and this pop song, and it's great. And by 10 years later, it's like, much, much darker story, and they're really good to watch. But nice little packages as well. So if you ever see them, pick them up, man. Yeah,
and all the vinyls that I've got are all the ones that they did the reissues the last few years and stuff. So they're always really, they're heavyweight. They're really. I think they came out around the same time as doing the CDs and stuff, weren't they?
I'm disappointed the Ultra one isn't really glossy like the others.
Oh, I kind of like it. It's that matty thing, isn't it? Makes it a bit different. Makes it, less shiny. It's a less shiny album, so why not have a less shiny?
They're a great with Depeche Mode as well, because we've been wanting to talk about Depeche Mode for a while, and we will talk about them again. This is just a particular subject that's worth discussing, because there are other albums I want to talk about, because they're such a great band, but they're such a great band for collectors. They've got so much stuff out there, and they're one of a handful of bands that I love the remixes as well. I could sit and listen to remixes of them for hours. They'll release like a remix album and it's brilliant. Like 9 Inch Nails remix albums are always really good as well. They always offer something different because their songs are so open to be messed about with. And the single, the artwork, all that sort of stuff. They're just so worthy. They're just really worthy additions to your collection. They're great to flick through.
Yes. No. Well, there you go. That's our foreplay. So we'll have to pick another 4 albums at one point. But we did Depeche Mode, and I think, we could quite happily carry on talking and gushing about them for hours. But You'll all be bored.
We will at some point.
Okay, let's finish up and go to the end waffle. It's the last bit of the podcast. It's the last part of the show. It's the last bit of our podcast before we have to go. Hello and welcome back to the end waffle. There's been quite a lot coming out at the moment, so I think we're even going to pare this one down and save some for next time, because it's that period, isn't it? You come through January and into February, and then suddenly everyone's announcing all their albums for the year, so it's been a busy one.
It really has.
So there's some exciting ones, but we'll talk about them next time. I think I mentioned it before about Exodus. They finally announced their album coming out March 20th called Goliath. Once again, some really, really shit artwork, as per usual.
That's it, Simon. Sell it. Really sell it for
I don't know. I like Exodus, but one day I just want them to do some artwork and go, that's really, really good. But they sign off on these ones. They just want to be metal, don't they? Oh, that looks metal. We'll go with that one.
Did you see that album they did in the 90s called Force of Habit?
Yeah, that's fucking awful.
And it was that time between, when it was kind of like metal was dead and grunge was there and everybody's kind of changing their image and they're just, well, this is our new album, and it's just fucking, you should have just stuck with the monsters.
It kind of looks like a child's drawn a parrot or something, isn't it? I can't remember what it was. It's terrible. They've had a couple of okay
scribble. That'll do. There you go.
But yeah, and they dropped a video for their. I think the song's like 3111 or something like that. It's called. I don't know. It's a silly title. But they had an unedited version, which is like got loads of violence. I think there's loads of violence in the video, and YouTube wouldn't play it, so they had to find alternative means. The song's alright. It didn't blow me away. It's kind of Exodus by numbers. Loads of riffs, loads of solos, bit of chuggy bit. It's nice having the old vocalist Rob Duke back. Kind of did his the latter career. He's got a bit more of a better voice, a bit more growly. That's Steve Zola, I want to say his name is, or something like that. Zoltra. I can't remember his name is. The one they're basically. He did most of the albums after Paul Bostoff left. His voice was just very annoying. So I'm not really selling this album at all, but there you go. It's coming out. You can order the vinyl. There's many, many variants and other things. If you like your Exodus, then you can't really go wrong with this one.
It's disappointing, that they are a good band. I do really enjoy Exodus, but it's almost like they're shooting themselves in the foot at every step.
So I quite enjoyed the last album. They've had when they do a good song, like you can't. I don't doubt them. Like, but they're just. I think they try to be too metal. Everything's got to be. Yeah, we're going to crush people. Yeah. I'm thinking like you're in your 60s, mate. Just calm down a bit.
I think they're trying too hard. I think that's the trouble.
Yeah, probably. I'm saying that Gary Holt, when he's in Slayer, I think he's brilliant. I couldn't think of anybody else who could have stepped into that position. So I give him respect for that one. But it's just. Yeah. Anyway, that's coming out soon. Sugar finally released a second. Well, not finally. They did release a second single, which me and you once again were like, oh, see what this one's like. It's okay. It's better than the first song. It's a bit weird. It's got some. I don't know if it's piano or what. There's just some sort of weird noise going on. I couldn't work out what was happening. And they've announced that there will be a double A side single coming out later in the year, which I think you looked into, didn't you? Is it coming out in March or May or something? I think.
Yeah, something like that. The two tracks
ties in with their tour. As I said, they're not bad songs. They're just compared. We've both had this conversation before. Compared to what his output has been in the last few years, they're nothing special. And I'm just really on the fence with the whole Sugar reunion. I don't know why. I should be really, really excited, but I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. Sugar, he's Bob, and for want of a better experience, it's not like he was in a super group. Yeah. It was Bob and a couple of hired help.
I couldn't name them, if I'm honest.
Which has always been. Was Dave Barb and Malk Travis, I want to say, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they were unknowns. It's not like he's put together a super group. It's just that he wrote these fucking great songs. They were with him, and it just took off. So Sugar essentially just Bob and these two people. So and then in recent years, he's had a better band. Well, not a better band, but he's had an equally brilliant band and a solo career with using Jason Narducci and I can't can't remember the other guy.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of drummers have come and gone, but he's got a pretty solid core and he keeps putting out these albums under his own name, which are fantastic. So, like you say, still on the fence as to why he's gone back to that. For me, it's more that Sugar were a successful band and a big name, so he can play some big venues, make himself a bit of cash, which I'm all for because he deserves it. But we didn't need new songs. They just feel like a compromise.
Yeah, it could be one of these ones, if they do drop an album, that we've said this before, that within the context of the album, they work very well, and maybe they're the lesser songs to come out. But from a point of view of, at this point in time, it's not made me get any more excited about it than I was. And I think, as you said before, I think the difference with these other two musicians, I didn't know who they were originally, and they came in, and then since they've gone, they've not done anything else. So as you said, like,
no,
yeah, okay, well, we'll see what happens. I keep my eye on it. I said, like, I saw they were playing locally. I just didn't go. Well, not locally, but I saw them were playing in Nottingham. I thought about it for about 2 minutes, and then went, no, I think I'm all right. I'm all right about this one.
I mean, and again, like I said before, he plays the songs live anyway, so it feels.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have just christened his band what he currently does, Sugar, anyway, because it's still him, and just different members. It could still be called Sugar.
Yeah.
But just ain't got two guys in. So. And on top of that, his last solo album wasn't that long ago, so that's still very current to me, and I'm still listening to it. So it's a bit like somebody's changed the channel halfway through you watching an episode or something.
Yeah, well, wait and see. The only other thing I saw, I don't know if you're a fan of them, is the Marmozets. Ever heard of them?
English band from up north.
Yeah, they're from Bingley.
I've heard of them. I've not heard them.
Yeah, well, I just
are they punk? Bit punky?
A little bit. I discovered them because of Lars Ulrich. He had a podcast thing on Apple, and he used to basically. He's got such a wide range of music he listens to, and he brought them up one day. I think their first album was The Weird and Wonderful World of... Is it the Marmozets? Is that what you said?
Marmozets.
Yeah.
Marmozets.
But they sort of did that, and then they kind of disappeared after a while. I think COVID, and then I think the singer and the guitarist got married and had kids. But they've come back, and it's like... She's got a good singing voice, but she's got an amazing screaming voice as well. And it's that right. It's a bit of, sort of reminds me.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. They were signed to Roadrunner. They've got heavy elements. They've got poppy elements. They sort of hit quite a few things. They've currently got 4 songs out, I think, for a preview of their new album, which is called Cowardice. War Dice.
Cow or dice. Cow or dice. It's like a choice.
Coming out in May 22nd. And the 4 songs I've heard, I thought they were brilliant. They seem to be on a bit of a tour at the moment. And trying to make a bit of a comeback. So they've now reduced from a 5-piece to a 4-piece. And yeah, I was really impressed with it. So I got quite excited and I went and pre-ordered their album. So I'm looking forward to it because I remember them and loved their first album. I thought the second album was good, not quite as intense as their first one. And then this third one's actually got some new elements, a little bit of synthy stuff going on in the background. So I'm excited about it. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Okay, cool. When's that coming out?
May the 22nd. There's some variants. I've got it straight through there. Then they signed a new record deal. I think it's coming through on their own record label or...
Okay.
No, sorry. I mean, I bought it through their own store. So I bought it directly from them. So, I'm looking forward to that one. I thought they're good. So if you've never heard of them, go and give them a listen. They've got like 4 singles currently out. So you can check them out on streaming.
No doubt you'll be doing a review when you get your...
hopefully.
You get your vinyl through.
And then the last thing that we were going to talk about is we both... Was it last night or the night before? We had a look at the new Down video.
Yeah, last couple of nights. You told me first. Have you seen the new Down video with their cover of a Dr. John song? And my initial thought was, oh, God.
It's a bit of fun.
Because I know New Orleans, and Dr. John's a big New Orleans legend, isn't he?
It's for Mardi Gras.
And I like Dr. John. Yeah. I thought it was great. They've got the full head, really taking the piss out of themselves. Well, not taking the piss out of themselves, just really...
They're being light-hearted.
A lot of humility. Light-hearted. They've got all the full headdress on and everything, all the voodoo stuff. It's made to look quite cheap, but it's not. I thought it's a great song. They've done a great version. It's still got that real heaviness to it. And it's made me excited for new music, which I wasn't, to be fair. I thought I wasn't particularly looking forward to it as much as I'm looking forward to the new Corrosion of Conformity, but no, it's really kind of settled my nerves. It's a great stopgap, and I'm really glad they did that because I wasn't expecting it.
No, and I think like a little bit talking about the Exodus thing, they take themselves too seriously for a band like Down, who are heavy and like they never do jokey throwaway lyrics and stuff. They can be quite serious with their lyrical content. They don't take themselves seriously, and they look like they were having lots and lots of fun. And it just was, it was a nice breath of fresh air. As you said, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Like the sounds there, they've obviously quite relaxed within the band, so hopefully it comes across in their new music as well.
Everything sounds great in it. Phil sounds good.
Yeah, he gets lower and lower.
Yeah.
But no, that was a nice little thing. So if you haven't seen the video, it's on YouTube. It's everywhere. I don't think it's on streaming yet. At the moment, it's just a video, as far as I'm aware. But no, as you said, we'll wait and see. I think there's imminent an announcement and a date for when the album's coming out. I'm guessing sort of September time. I think they're going to let the Corrosion Conformity one ride a little bit before they announce Down. But
what do you reckon they're going to call it?
Down 5.
We had up to Down 3 on the albums, and there was Down 4, the EP part 1, Down 4, the EP part 2.
5.
So it's got a bit, unless they just go the complete, just call it something.
NOLA 2.
Or just self-titled or something. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything that they could call it.
Well, if they're going to go with the numbers, I often think it's about Adele, because it's always her age.
Yeah.
And, can you do that forever?
What, so 72, 64.
There was a band about 15 years ago called Forward Russia. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They were okay, alternative indie sort of thing. They had a bit of bite to them. I didn't mind them. But all their songs, just numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, just that. And when the album came out, I remember just picking it up and just being interested in flicking through it. It wasn't even in order. So it was like 9, 6, 8, 7, 2, 3. Oh, seriously, you're numbering the songs and you're not even fucking. I mean, that had my fucking.
No effort has been put into this.
Going straight away. For God's sake, I can't cope with that. Not in order.
Jesus. Yeah, well, guess we'll wait and see. It's got to be 5. I'm going with 5.
It's been a long time, and they smoke a lot of weed. They've probably forgotten.
Yeah.
They'll probably go with 6 or something and get it all pressed up, and somebody will point out, dude, you didn't do 5, and they'll be like,
really? Oh.
But they are quite intense. I wouldn't want to tell them they've got some.
No, they're quite big lads. Well, there you go. That has been this week's more than ramble than usual, but so there you go. Well, hope everyone has a nice rest of your week and survive any storms and rains that we got going on. And we'll see you next time for another episode of But Have You Heard It On Vinyl?
We'll continue building the ark, and we'll handpick everybody that's coming on board with us.
You, not you. No, not you. Yes, you. Well, ta-ta for me.
Goodbye from me.
You heard it online, and you think there's no rival. You want it for your collection, but have you heard it on vinyl?